Observe, Anas Aremeyaw Anas, lawyer has spoken. Yes, what happens in court now is a whole lot. It is a whole lot. Yes, from day one to the time they actually judged the case in favor of Anas Aremeyaw Anas. Without wasting much time, if you are new here, consider to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell to be part of us. Let's get into the whole action to listen to what Anas lawyer have to tell the whole public.
Investigative journalist we all know around the world has won a case against Kennedy Agyapong in the United States of America. Tonight we will have the privilege to speak to the lawyer of one of the lawyers of Anas Aremeyaw Anas. His name is Evans Selassie Adeka Esquire. He is going to brief us on what actually happened, or what started, how it started, and how we ended up here. We have Anas' lawyer, one of his representatives or his counsels, Evans Selassie Adeka. He's on the line to speak to us on this very matter. Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English. You speak from your name, Selassie. You speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please. I speak.
Good.
Tree. Yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Anas Aremeyaw Anas, or a Ghanaian or investigative journalist, his work over the years he has gone through a lot of court appearances in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Abetin say Kennedy Agyapong or former MP. A few years ago, announced the investigative piece by na FA football home GFA, and at the end of the day, Noma Bibrisi, one of his colleagues or any investigations near the Ahmed Swale FMU after that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Agyapong, a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at the point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapong. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Otunidin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Anas Aremeyaw Anas felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Selassie Adeka, renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court, Abba?
Okay, Mr. P. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes.
And that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, yeah, papa no, and someone just like what kind about my client. So, like, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. Interesting enough, I mean, after reviewing the video, in our training, there's something that we are taught. Say, in your case, be a case. A case, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring. So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now. My client is send them no you jina so it we back court New Jersey esan say ya papa no video no so ya papa na nenum nsam kire say okase fi ni fie New Jersey na unim say ye krom for so no the diaspora is very important. Obviously what you do is testament to that fact. And there was an audience that he spoke to we're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now I wouldn't say a lawyer. So obviously he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Odette Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I put him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So after the preliminary back and forth, initially the case was we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit sometime, I think. Sometime I think in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And by law, there was a period by which Yapapano Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Yapapano filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of Onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale. Now, the third one, so say Yenuya a serial killer in terms of Wuku Chinese will be Brebi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, say what behind would same biana, that means say biana no a trigger man and also no will be second and I say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client or a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Aremeyaw Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record, and the case went. At that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously because near Beji judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, they argued that they had a solid defense, and I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, release here. Nti no no mu gyina so say omo defense to case aye afale wo New Jersey.
We need what Ghana. So case no
exactly.
It's only no by case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that defamation sits here no say kind of ma ko na the work for court ko be fufu na ko kan it's a separate case.
Yeah.
It no to mean ko fa judge to Ghana and fan be defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because Ghana no yemra no but you sound so emra ye free other countries. There are certain times that even though any of presidential value I just said judge into me so India but obi to me the tunu hufu na senior especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances. Sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emrano drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard. Okay. And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And, we took it for what it's worth and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday. And we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, senior answer na ever try case the difference between what happened with Ghana and see Johannes say trial by jury into judge or judge back one I say judge me no one I say judge me and send a BDS seminar. But normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and a twin from. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that a charges counts now the buy and the civil claims now the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Union, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I caught say accounting na mode bono no say on Anas back and forth, right? The on claim of making or say a banter. I just say we can't wait internet and share or no you're not all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court me there that was not
and yes son of kind court no G2
yeah be or maintaining the position say no can or down standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically remember just or parties no crane di no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that or the move you try your internet to who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord with. So jury never bugui. And about 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. kwan papa no de enu no fast no enye kwampa e wo mra mu. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with papa na some more come.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no be doing come and also cry no there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes no take it on say there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I will not say use their. I will not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense, though.
And then the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge read jury instructions, but catch jurors and say, oh no. Only to be a assassin women now. You won't quite between say or camera actual match room. And that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer ni contrary even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas asem working.
But Anas, Anas. Also a very astute lawyer onimumra pa nyo bia ye dwema no and some people walk cry can on jintumu but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding it's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position that he wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one anything. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, the peace. Said that schedule there, and from this time to this time, can you support staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say at this maybe by this time we'll be say grown. Or they'll commit to the rights and senses and decide, this shouldn't go on because, yes. And I acquire, unfortunately, me, Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, these days, we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify. Yeah. Okay, complaint there the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million, $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, papa about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and they said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Muko Drew Hono. Anas initially, you have a kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the
Yes.
client and Anas Kasa say a woman saw for 30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then any priority
Yes.
of going to court.
Yes.
But because of
Yes.
the experience, now unim CB and your Matiano, no client here and ask Kasa and say it will be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, Okra no client and ask no. You did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, no, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yes, and like I said, your papa lawyer at Aremeyaw, New York.
Oh, yeah.
And also come home. And Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Where my guy is there.
Yes,
D here is there. Crow is there. Yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So,
yeah.
The whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
Now, in spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, Papa buy and also no bet $10,000 to end the case. No. I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way he's saying I'm sure so I can people no. Yeah. So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So like to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. The jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But we decided to keep it under wraps because there was a component you multiply 18 million by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about
that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say but we are bold with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yana pay a coin we ended up leaving that alone a pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two a boss na in terms of that and sana say one way or another I go back I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I bit me German and cafe. But at this time, almost my court no say almost busa into so.
Okay. So at this point, my court who say beba 80 million or almost pentiso. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court in seal better so.
Yeah.
That would take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, appeal by appeal depending on how that motion goes. No,
okay.
We will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and a So depending on how that motion goes.
So for now,
yes.
18, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, someone to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay. Now let's go back and watch.
So the court's decision, if we start at the end, the court is denying a request for this trial, and everyone can file motions at the appropriate time, and the court will address everything after motions are filed appropriately and then responded appropriately. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Okay. Good luck to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much, Brett.
So there's one thing you need to take notice of. Anas was still wearing nose mask in court. But over Ghana, judge to meet Snooker says, Anas saying in nose mask na yendi asem. You see the difference. You see how our judiciary in Ghana. You see how our judiciary in Ghana, how bad some of our judges are. The judge sitting in that courtroom in New Jersey is looking at the facts and evidence before him. How you dress to court is up to you. It is your presentation in court, how the jury will see you. Whether you wear a nose mask or not, at the end of the day, it is your case, the substantive case, your evidence is what they are looking at. Because they are dealing with the law. They are not looking at individuals. And the law itself is blind. It does not look at faces, background, economically where you are coming from, or financial, or whatever. It's looking at the case, the law. They are applying it. So whether somebody is dread, whether somebody is wearing a nose mask, whether somebody is wearing a face shield, what is more important to the jury and the judge is that look at the evidence before you. Look at it and apply the law, and let's see. But don't say, Senya Omubu Asemgu Anas so Ghana was that it wasn't the substantive issue Anas had brought to court. Anas trying to defend himself. In Ghana, the Edibuati Anas and say, yes, nose mask be Anas face mask be. Say Anas say yeah. That means Anas is guilty. This is where we are as a nation. Judge to me say, because of face mask, nose mask, because I want you to look in a certain way in my court. If you don't look that way, I am going to call you a criminal. I am going to label you a criminal. That is the danger in our judiciary. And that is what we need to look at. Are we looking at a substantive case that is before us as judges, as judiciary, or we are looking at the characters or the individuals standing before us? And when you go to Ghana, the judiciary today look at the people involved in the case than the case itself.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is what actually transpired over the period since 2022 that they filed against Kennedy Agyapong. And here comes the verdict. Here comes the judgment day. All right, so kindly share your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe if you're new here to be part of this wonderful family. All right, Emerson for Zazie, aka you be the head. May that say, Pia.
Hi guys, my name is Adina Thembi and you're watching GH Celebrity News. Stay tuned.
Hi wonderful people, my name is Akuma Mama Zimbi and I love to read and listen to GH Celebrity News. And that's it.